Hello and welcome to our third season premiere episode of Talking About Rock. I'm your host, Rob Edwards. We are so happy to be back with you and would like to welcome all our new viewers and returning viewers to another season of rock interviews as we are keeping the torch alive. Also, we would like to welcome our new show sponsors, School of Rock Rochester, where they're taking pre-enrollment now at 585-400-7625, or you can visit them at their kiosk location in the Eastview Mall in Victor, New York. Their location opens this spring at 235 High Street Extension in Victor, New York. Okay, today's guest has been booking shows in Rochester for 15 years, working with traditional metal and thrash bands, also black, grind, and occasionally punk and other hardcore bands. We will talk with Osbjorn from Rochester Metal Bookings next on Talking About Rock. All right, folks, let's welcome to the show Osbjorn from Rochester Metal Booking. Oz, how are you doing, man?
Good. How about you?
Oh, doing great, man. Great. So you've been promoting shows out there in Rochester, and you actually started out because you were promoting your own band, right? And then you kind of got into Rochester Metal Booking. Is that how it went?
Well, more or less trying to scout bandmates, trying to find other people that are into metal music, and pretty much that was pretty much the basics of like me getting into promoting because I've always wanted to be in the band.
Right.
And then it just kind of fell into me being the promoter.
Kind of booking shows out there and stuff. Cool. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about the rock venues in Rochester. Is there a pretty good amount of venues for metal shows out there? You know, I've only been to a couple locations. I need to make it out there a little bit more. And we ran into each other a while back at I think the Rochester Armory, right?
Yeah.
For a show. But so tell us a little bit about the venues out there that usually have the metal shows.
There's a good handful of them out there. There's probably about 5 venues. I technically like to stick with Bug Jar and Photo City. And then, time to time, the Crown will have shows. It's a really smaller, more intimate size venue.
Right. And are you only booking shows in the Rochester area, or are you other areas as well?
Mostly Rochester. Yeah, I like to stick into Rochester. I just know most of the people there in that area. I do know a lot of people in the Buffalo area too, and yeah, actually, I work out in Buffalo, so I technically live in Batavia.
Oh, okay. You live right in the middle, actually, so that's right.
Yeah.
I always consider that like the halfway point. I'm halfway to Rochester when I hit Batavia, right?
It totally is. It's the half point. 45 minutes both ways.
Right.
Yeah.
So, do you book any shows out there in Batavia at all, or it's not too much?
No, I don't. No, years ago, there was a happening scene in Batavia though.
Yeah.
My friends used to own a coffee shop, and we would have like 200 kids at a show. Just
wow.
There would be shows. It didn't matter what kind of music it was. Kids would go because there's nothing to do in this little city.
Right. Not a lot going on there. Yeah. And a lot of the shows that you book, there's like usually multiple acts right on there, right? You usually have a few different bands on the lineup, or it's almost like a festival type of thing, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that's gotta be a lot of moving parts to handle. We got like a couple different bands. You got to figure out the venue. You got to figure out whatever, if they need PA or backline, or there's a lot of moving parts for that, right? Going on, and promotions, right? You got to have to handle all the promotions as well. So
absolutely, it's it's I always say when things go south for a show, say a lack of crowd or whatever the situation is, the venue looks at you, the band looks at you, the fans look at you.
Right.
The sound guy looks at you. Everybody looks at you. So
right. I know it's hard promoting right now because a lot of venues don't do a lot of the self-promoting, it seems, at this point, right? You know what I mean? So they think
It's
they that falls a lot back onto you or onto the bands usually, right?
oh, totally, absolutely. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of venues that lack the promoting that on their end.
Yeah, yeah, I know. I
But
see a lot of bands doing it, but I see tons of the clubs not doing it as well. You know, in our area as well, also. You know, and then like you said, then they're looking at everybody's like, well, why are we got this? Why don't we have that? Well, did you do some promotions too? Did you did you do some radio or did you do some Facebook ads or stuff? And I mean, everybody needs to kind of jump in on that, right?
absolutely, yeah. There a lot of times I don't book bands when I notice bands don't want to promote themselves.
Yeah.
I it tells me don't book this band. They're I call them free riders.
Oh, right. Yeah, you got to do the self promotion thing is huge. And I mean, yeah, we have such great tools nowadays. Back in the day, like you had to take an ad out somewhere in a paper or something, right? Or you had to get on the
Absolutely,
radio. But now you got Facebook and you got Instagram and all these different tools we have there for free to post all this
absolutely.
stuff now, you know.
That's for sure.
There's tons of shows coming out all the time. I post a lot myself of all the different acts, coming out this way and out that way and stuff. For a lot of your shows, are they all ages shows a lot of times, or
Um, the Bug Jar tends to like to have shows that are 21 plus, or sometimes they limit the underagers. Personally, I would like to see all age or at least 18 plus because even though those unders aren't drinkers, they're our next generation of concert goers.
exactly,
And I
exactly. You're
and I
thinking forward. You're thinking ahead. Yep.
exactly.
Yeah, and
Yep.
I know a lot of the venues they don't see it that way at all. They probably just think of it's lost, sales for the night,
You know,
lost liquor sales, right?
yeah, and it's kind of funny because just how you say it, it's like a lot of venues see like, oh, if this show sells out, those 10 kids that are underage are not drinkers that could have been replaced by drinkers. But say that same mentality, but only 100 people show up, and now you need that income
Right.
um and to pay for the bands that come through. So now you're lacking the drinkers and the crowd
Yeah, I mean,
because
I understand it's a really hard situation, right? Especially with the last 2 years, a lot of venues not making money. They're kind of behind the eight ball now. They're trying to make up for all that time. So it's probably
absolutely,
even more difficult when they see something like that. So they're not thinking of that. But on the other hand, on the other side of it, you're talking about like growing their venue, growing the brand, growing the following for these bands for the next, next album or the next tour or the next gig, what have you, right?
absolutely.
So, and the bands that you're doing are these also bands that are putting out new music and recording stuff as well?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so
I
so
tend
that yeah, go ahead.
um Me working at a small venue, I tend to get a lot of up and risers that
Hmm.
are just like sometimes I'll book a band and like say like a band like On Death who is from Rochester, but now they're like international.
Right.
But like I got to book them before most people do, and then next thing is they're selling out in bigger venues, and who knows if they'll ever play a Bug Jar again, you know?
Right, but they started out there, so I mean they kind of put their mark there, and you kind of help them do that. So I'm
Absolutely,
sure
you know.
Buckjar appreciates that, having
Oh,
having that
totally.
kind of launching for them, right?
Yeah, totally. And then a lot of times I'll get like classic bands, like I just had Cro-Mags. You know, they're huge, and then just packed the Bug Jar just the other night. Had about shy of 30 people from selling out. So, you know,
That's
you did
that's
definitely
great.
get that happy medium of like sometimes you get a classic band, sometimes you get up up and comers, and
Right.
so
It's probably good to have a little bit of mix that if you can, depending on which bands you got, right? It's probably good to have a mix though, so then you get a better crowd, a little bit of everything.
absolutely.
So I was going
That's
to
the
ask you
key.
too. So metal is so strong, like in other parts of the world, like for instance in Europe.
Oh
How do you
yeah.
think Rochester measures up for that? Because I know there's been a fallout in the US, right, as far as like hard rock and metal, right? It's not really that big of a thing anymore. It's coming back, which is great, and it's starting to be more of a thing, but it doesn't seem like it ever went away like in Europe and other countries over there. They still really dig it. I was just talking to the guitarist from Zentrix today, Christian Havert, about it a little bit, and they play a lot of shows out there, and they haven't even been to the US yet. How do you
Yeah.
think that we stack up as far as like the metal community? Is that back on the rise again now?
Oh man, since COVID, it's like it's been like it. Well, actually, before COVID, it was already on a downhill slide. When I started out, I didn't have to think about bringing money or a guarantee. I just know that I would make the guarantee, and you should always bring your guarantee with you, like the amount of money. You don't want to be that guy,
Right,
like I don't have the money.
right,
Don't be
right.
that guy.
Yeah, you're
Say
you're
if a
you're you're
band
not going
calls,
to be booking shows after saying that once or twice, right? Yep.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, when I started out, I didn't have to like, yeah, I had that money on me, but I didn't have to worry. Now it's like, am I gonna make $500 now, to the
Right.
door, for the show? So, it's um, it's quite a downhill slide. But
Yeah, I'm
I don't
sure.
know.
I'm
Sometimes shows are great, and it surprises me, and you just never know. But I wish it was like Europe.
right. Yeah. I mean, they're crushing it over there. They have so many different metal festivals going on. And how many shows do you usually book a year? Do you
Um,
know
I
like ballpark?
I usually try to book about a month, or I mean, a show a month.
Oh, okay.
And I mean, early on, I used to book probably 2 or 3 shows a year. But one thing I started learning is can't oversaturate. Try not to oversaturate. Try to look around the other areas, local areas that are doing shows at the same time,
Right.
because uh you I mean, a lot of times you're booking a show, this other venue down the road from you is booking the show at the same time,
Right.
but we don't. There's a very big lack of communication with promoters. It's kind of a cutthroat um business. And
I'm sure. I'm sure it very much is. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I think things are better now, now, because like promoters are starting to catch on, like, yeah, we shouldn't be doing this. If you got
Right.
that coming, let me know. So
Right. Right. Because they're just cutting off their face there. Right. I know. I see it a lot. I see it a lot just in the regular, uh, you know, hard rock band. You're saying like oversaturation. So if there's like an AC/DC tribute band, you're only going to want to see them like once or twice in a year. No,
right,
nobody's going to go to more than that. I'm just using that for an example. Any other type of tribute band that would come through, it's once or twice a year you're going to see that, or an Ozzy tribute band or something like that. But if you keep doing that, yeah, you're not going to get people to go to those shows, right?
exactly, yeah. Even with my band, like when we play out, we don't want to play more than once a month. We want to keep that distance, so that way keep people still hungry for the shows. And I think that's key, is like you can't have 5 metal shows in 1 month because people aren't hungry for it.
Right, right, right. I'm sure people are always asking you probably what's coming up next, or you probably get texts or emails or say who's coming or what's going on, right? They're checking in with you.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Well,
I
that's got
do
to
get
make you
that.
feel great though, right? It's like they're looking for this, they're looking for that. We got something coming up, right?
Oh yeah, or I'll get people suggesting shows for me, or like, hey, bring this band to town. I'll do what I can, but
Right, right. Yeah, I was going to ask you about
it's
that because you've been doing this for like 15 years or so now. How
yeah.
would a new band reach out to you? Should they just email Rochester Metal Bookings and kind of
Yeah,
introduce themselves and give you some music and stuff that they're doing?
absolutely. Yeah, I have them email me, Facebook, Instagram. I'm pretty easy to find, and um, the thing with the why I named it Rochester Metal Booking. I like to keep it the Kiss, keep it simple, stupid. Like where am I? I'm in Rochester. What do I do? Metal. I
Yep.
book. So
Exactly. Nice and easy. And do you scout shows at all? Like, do you go see like new bands that are maybe playing out to see what they're like at all? Kind of maybe
uh,
before?
absolutely, I try. I mean, I work nights, but I usually try to. I just started a new job just a couple of weeks ago, so I'm working days, but I try to go out to shows. I try to see who's fresh or check out the new bands and hear who's the talk on the streets, and so there's definitely a lot of scouting going on,
That's cool. That's
especially
cool.
like I like to when I travel, say if I'm like out of town travel, I always have this belief that I got to check out whatever the local show is that night. I like to go to that show. So if I'm in New York City and I got to go to a show in New York City or wherever I am, and got to check out the local bands, see what's cool out there. You
Definitely,
know, I
definitely.
I believe I have a strong belief that you don't really get the true essence of a city until you see the local scene as the local music.
Yeah, I very much agree with you for sure. I was in Las Vegas a couple of weeks ago, and I really wasn't in touch with what was going on with the local scene too much. I knew a couple of the bands, but then I went around and kind of checked out some of the clubs and some of the venues, and was going to check out some of the shows. And you're right. Then you can kind of see what's really happening in that area when you check that out. And it's cool to see there is so much, you know, local music still going on. I think the tough sell still really is the original music. That's just really a hard thing, right?
Yeah, it's funny because I was just talking about this earlier today that like I'm seeing cover bands that are doing $20 tickets.
Right,
And then I see
right,
local bands that are doing $10 tickets. I'm like,
right,
why is this band who is not even a real artist making more money than the band that's an actual true artist? And
right.
I
Yeah,
always felt like that.
yeah,
I always,
it's from my analysis, it's the whole thing was like, all the big name bands now charge so much money to see them, so you'll see a tribute band to them to hear their music and only like you said only pay like $20 instead of 100 or $200 to go see the name band
yeah,
show, right? You'll settle for that if you have to, but it just seems
absolutely.
like we don't give the original music a chance like we used to back in the day. Back in the 70s and early 80s, people would check out original bands a lot more, and now not so much, and that really needs to change
Absolutely.
in all areas, in order for music to keep moving ahead. And it needs to trickle down to the fans. They need to realize that if they want to see new music and new bands come out, you need to support these guys, and that's the only way it's going to happen.
Exactly. Um, I just kind of a funny story that I was just thinking like a while back we had the Ataris come through the Bug Jar. That band used to sell at auditoriums. Now they're like playing in small venues, and this couple comes walking by and like, oh wow, that's the best sounding Atari's cover band I ever heard.
Oh my
My
gosh,
my
did the band
door
hear
guy,
that?
my door guy, he says, "Hey, let me let you in on a secret. You see that window there? You see that flyer? That's this is the band. What? They're playing in this small venue? It's like, well, yeah, you guys kind of you're you're the fan base. You guys kind of all grew up and gave up on the music scene. This is what they're doing now.
This is what happens, right? When bands lose their following and people
Yeah,
stop going to shows. Yeah, I mean that's what happened in the late 80s, early 90s when hard rock was falling off and all these big name club bands, Judas Priest, Kiss, and they were playing way smaller venues because people weren't going to their shows.
yeah. I think I've seen not too long ago seen a clip out of a a magazine, or not a magazine, like a free time, tells you what shows are coming to town, and it was like Judas Priest at the Penny Arcade. It's like, what?
Yeah, that had to be like in the late '90s, I'm sure, something like that. I
Yeah,
remember Penny Arcade. That was big. I was talking to the owner of that last week. That was a great place back in the day,
dude, I miss that place. That was
right?
like a second home, definitely.
Yeah, so many folks played there back in the day. It was such a big name back. I wish I would have got a chance to check it out. I was a little young at the time, but
Yeah.
yeah, I never made it out to there, unfortunately. But so many different acts came through there that would have been awesome.
Yeah, I
So
seen Anthrax play there. Uh, before Joey Belladonna joined back with Anthrax, they played there. It was incredible. Awesome
nice,
performance.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was so bummed that night, like when we met and we didn't get to see, the whole show. We didn't get to see Anthrax. We didn't get to see Black Label Society. Yeah, I was really kind of bummed on that. And it looks like probably now it's going to be probably another year or two before that circles back.
Yeah. That I was really looking forward to Anthrax too, because it's been a while that I've seen
But
Anthrax.
you
And
saw him back in the day, so that had to be
yeah.
the best show, I'm sure.
So actually, so years ago I worked at Montage, another great venue.
Yep, I've been there. Yeah, it's a great venue.
Um I was working there. It was my birthday. We had Joey Belladonna play on my birthday. It wasn't signed to like be my birthday show, but I'm like, what? That's on my birthday.
It is
We gotta
now.
make it. We
It is
gotta make
now.
it my birthday show.
Right, exactly.
So I come in that day and I go through the back door like I always do any other day,
Sure.
and there's no one in the room but Joey Belladonna standing in the middle of the room by himself. He turns around, hey Oz. He's never met me before. Hey Oz, happy birthday.
Oh,
My
very
jaw
cool.
dropped. I'm like 12-year-old me is like, dude, Joey Belladonna just wished you a happy birthday.
Right,
I
exactly.
don't even I didn't even know how he knew it was me. Even.
I'm sure somebody told him like we have a birthday today. You might want to just say hello to him. We would dig it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that is so
Yeah,
cool.
and he doesn't live too far from here. Like he lives like somewhere near Syracuse.
Oh, really? Oh, that's
Yeah,
interesting to know. Very cool.
yeah. And then of
Very,
course Danny Lilker, the original bassist, he lives here in Rochester.
yeah, nice. Yeah, I think I saw Joey. I think Joey Belladonna was doing like the national anthem at the Bills games or something, or some of the sports games too. I think I saw within the last couple of weeks.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I seen him doing that. So he's getting around. Maybe he'll shoot back this way. Who knows?
right. Absolutely.
So one last thing I got for you here, and I really appreciate you taking the time to be with us. But since you've been booking bands for 15 years, what advice would you give to a new band just starting out? What would you say to them?
Um, put your name out there, let people know your name, let people know individual members. Um, put your logos. Logos, don't go too crazy on logos like backgrounds. Keep it simple. Put just self-promoting. Self-promoting is key.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And that, like we were saying before, there's so many tools to do it now. So just
Yeah,
have at it, and like you were saying earlier, keep it simple. Don't go too crazy with it. Definitely.
absolutely.
Cool, cool.
Self-promotion.
All right.
Self
Well, thank you so much, Oz, for being with us. If folks want to contact you, should they reach out to you on Facebook or your website, or what should they do?
yeah, Facebook, any of the social medias, I have it all. Um, or to email me, Rochester Metal Booking at yahoo.com. So
Great, great.
yeah,
I definitely got to make it out to some of those shows out there and see what's happening. Definitely. That'd be very cool.
absolutely.
All right, man. All
Oh
right. And if
yeah.
you folks out there want to know more about us, you have questions or comments, please feel free to email us at talkingaboutrock@gmail.com. You can like us and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. And as always, for this interview, you can check out the video on YouTube, and the audio will be available on all the streaming services. Osman, thanks. Appreciate it, man. Rochester Metal Booking,
Absolutely.
folks. Check it out. All right,
Cheers.
man. Have a good night, man.
You too. Take care.